I recently put a little over 1,000 miles on a Peterbilt 579 on a trip from Scottsdale, Arizona to Denton, Texas. It would be easy to come up with a lot of good things to say about the truck and the PACCAR powertrain, but I'll let the images speak for themselves. Equipment editor Jim Park here. We're up in the left-hand seat of a Peterbilt 579 EPIQ model. We've been doing a trip from Phoenix, Arizona over to Dallas, basically returning a truck from a show back to the plant. Peterbilt decided it'd be a good idea if I came along and shot this video, so here we are. For the last hour or so, coming along this road here, we've been nursing 11.1 miles per gallon. But at 11.1, I think we're doing pretty good with this truck. And the time we started it up, we've run about 250 miles so far today on this, and going from 0 to a steady 11.1. I'm pretty impressed. This truck is so quiet inside. Right now the driver window is closed, obviously to make it as quiet as possible, but when I open it, it's still really quiet. And one of the trademarks of a well-done bit of aerodynamics on the front end of the truck is how quiet it is when you open the window. There's no wind noise there at all to speak of. Certainly no whistling, no buffeting. So the front of this truck, round, really smooth, and the open window test shows just how good it really is. The powertrain in that truck was PACCAR from stem to stern, including an MX-13 engine rated at 455 horsepower and 1,600 pound-feet at 900 RPM. That was followed by a PACCAR automated 12-speed transmission with a 0.77 overdrive in 12th gear. 11th gear was direct. Out back there was a pair of PACCAR drive axles rated at 40,000 pounds with a 2.64 ratio. The truck rode on a full set of Bridgestone R283 Ecopia tires, 295/75 R22.5. I think the truck was spec'd to run about 70 miles an hour. I cruised mostly at 65 with the engine running at about 1,100 RPM. I sure didn't feel I was giving anything up in terms of performance with that modest spec. Running at 77,320 pounds gross weight, the fuel economy that powertrain delivered was impossible to argue with. Interesting truck to drive. It's got the PACCAR transmission, obviously, set up to run at 65. That's where the maximum on the cruise control is. Speed limits here in New Mexico and Texas are 75 on the interstate, 75 too, surprisingly, on this state highway 287. But I've been running a steady speed of about 65. Again, working the fuel economy a little bit and trying to do something I think fairly representative to most fleet situations. The way the cruise control was set up in here at a set speed of 65, 5 mile per hour droop, and the neutral coast, which gives you about 5 miles per hour over your set speed before the engine brake comes on, I would have been able to roll down a lot of the fairly minor hills out here on 287. But I found that as soon as I hit 70, of course, the engine brake came on, and there went some of my momentum to start making it up the other side. So it just goes to show you, when you're speccing a truck like this and you're worrying about your droop speeds and your set speeds and what have you, nowadays you really got to be pretty careful to set the speeds for the conditions the trucks are going to be operating in. If this was my truck to set up on these roads, I obviously would have gone to probably 70 or 75 on the cruise, just to have the latitude. Doesn't mean you always have to cruise at that speed. And then a bit more room on the droop if it was available. I'm not sure it is, but maybe you get 10 miles an hour out of it instead of 5. You'd recoup a lot more momentum if that were the case. We had dinner at a place called Vernon, Texas at about 8 o'clock. That's about 150 miles from the Peterbilt plant in Denton. We pulled out just as it was starting to get dark, hoping to keep the fuel mileage as close to 11 miles per gallon as possible. This has been a really, truly enjoyable ride. 500 miles or so each day. Bit ambitious, but I'm out of shape for that kind of mileage. I know that's a walk in the park for most professional drivers, but hey, still feeling pretty good. Put a lot down to this truck for that. I mean, comfortable, quiet. I really enjoy driving it. This 579 is set up so well. All the controls here from the driver's point of view are really easy to reach, nice, easy to get to, intuitive, attractive dashboard, easy on the eyes, good color scheme. We're getting here, it's a bit dark, so the panel's lit up and it looks nice at night too. And as I think I mentioned earlier, this thing is so quiet in here. Even with the window rolled down, you can't hear any noise. It's just a fantastic ride. So I'm going to log off here for a little bit. We'll be pulling into Denton in about an hour and a half. Hopefully we're going to push this 10.8 back up to 11 again. Just can't wait to see the look on the engineer's face tomorrow morning when he comes in and finds it 11 miles per gallon on it. So we're on the last 2 miles of the trip. Regret to say that we didn't do so well on fuel economy the last 100 or so miles, 150 miles. We dropped from, it was 10.7 or 10.8, and now we're down to 10.2, 10.2. Never thought I'd see the day when I complained about getting 10.2 miles per gallon. We're up at 11.1 earlier for a good chunk of the day. 10.2 is not so bad though. Shouldn't be unhappy with it, it's just disappointing, I guess. We covered 1,028 miles from Scottsdale to Denton, and I got a real taste of what the 579 is all about. Despite the fairly modest power, the truck pulled well in the mountains in Arizona. It was an absolute joy to drive on the interstates, and low-speed maneuvering was just superb. While I was disappointed in not finishing the trip with 11 miles per gallon, 10.2 is nothing to sneeze at. A lot of drivers have a lot of good things to say about their 579s, and I can certainly see why they feel that way. At Peterbilt's Denton, Texas manufacturing facility, I'm equipment editor Jim Park.